Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to this lecture on transition metal organometallics in catalysis and biology. We have been talking about olefin metathesis reactions in the last few lectures, and in particular we have been discussing the various mechanistic pathways that have been proposed with regard to explaining olefin metathesis reaction, and also we have noted in the previous lecture that how even though different mechanisms have been proposed for olefin metathesis, how the one which is the correct one gained credence gradually over period of time. Now, what we had discussed in the last lecture is that there are two schools of thoughts which were initially proposed for olefin metathesis reaction. The first one was this pairwise mechanism, which was indicating that both the olefins form a pair and then the reaction proceeds. However, and there were three pathways or three hypotheses that were put forward based on pairwise mechanism by Calderon, Petit and Grubbs. However, in the end by more detailed isotope leveling studies confirmed the reaction proceeding by non-pairwise mechanism, and the one which has been proposed by Chauvin. And here the important criteria is that the active species is a metal carbene species as shown over here. Is the active species that carry out this metathesis reaction. Another important fallout of the Chauvin's mechanism is that it is a chain reaction, in the sense that there are several types of metal carbene species which are generated, and they carry out this metathesis reaction in a chain fashion. We are going to be looking at it in bit more detail, particularly this chain reaction aspect of metathesis when we in today's lecture, when we take up this topic in much more detail. So, what this slide says is that two olefins with different substitutes A and B, C and D come together to give olefins which are now A and C, B and D, as well as A and D, B and C. So, this is that famous cutting and stitching definition, as if somebody had cut these olefins in fragment and then stitch them up needlessly to give all the combinations possible through this chain reaction. Proceeding further, we have also discussed this non-pair wise mechanism, and what we had observed that how it goes via formation of these metallocyclobutane intermediate, and then that results in the different kind of olefins as well as different kind of metal carbene active species. So, what is interesting to see is that there is the starting initiating process metal carbene active species, but however during the course of the metathesis many other metal carbene species are formed, and these two which is shown over here, and they are also equally capable of carrying out these olefin metathesis reaction, and this is why this is called a chain process. So, that a set of chain reactions take place this. by this formation of many species. The main support for this non pairwise mechanism was provided by Grubbs in this JACS paper, where he had synthesized this deuterated the terminal deuterated octane, and which according to him would give these cyclohexane, which is unreactive, and this would give D4 ethylene, whereas that when this cyclohexane that can be knocked off by this protonated octane to give this complex. Now, that can undergo fast metathesis, exchanging these groups CD2 to CH2. So, what we have here is CH2 and this side is CD2, that can fast exchange to give the product which is CD2 and then CH2 CH2, whereas these can first exchange to give CD2 CH2, which is this, and then CD2 CH2. So, what Grubbs did is Grubbs proposed these various products that may be obtained particularly with regard to the formation of D4, and this is CD2 CH2 is D2 and CH2 CH2 is D0, which would also be formed. This should be D0, and what he tried to do in this paper is that he estimated the statistical distribution of these two types of ethylene D4, D2 and D0, and then observed how closely the statistical distribution was matched in terms of pairwise or non pairwise product. So, let me illustrate this in bit more detail. So, for these two type of olefin, which is deuterated versus protonated, the Grubbs estimated that according to pairwise mechanism, the ratio would be 1 to 0 to 1.6 to 1 for these three products, whereas for Chauvin it will be 1 to 2 to 1, and this is what was experimentally observed, giving a prediction in favor of the pairwise mechanism. So, this was a fantastic set of experiments performed by Grubbs that sort of finally settled the issue, put all the confusion to rest, and gave a verdict in favor of Chauvin's pairwise mechanism. Now, what to give a perspective of how the reaction proceeds, I am going to sort of just show the chain wise propagation of olefin metathesis in the following few steps over here. For example, these two olefin in presence of a metal carbene species gave olefin with A, C, B, D plus A, D plus B, C. Now, the reaction proceeded as follows. So, the initiating species is a metal carbene species and that reacting with olefin A and B giving X A B or B A, and that would give X A plus M B, whereas this would give X B plus M A. Then the another possibility would be this species which is M A, then plus C D, the other olefin, giving A C plus M D A C plus M D plus A D plus M C. Now, again M B, which is formed over here, can react with C D giving B C plus M D plus M D plus B D B D plus M C. Again this M C can react with CD to give AC plus MB MB plus C B plus MA. MA, and lastly again MD plus AB can give TA plus MB DB plus okay. So, what is interesting over here is the fact that from one carbene initiating species, so many different carbene species. So, from MX which was the starting species, all of the species MB, MA, MC, MD and so on and so forth, MD, MC, MB, MA, MB, MA, so many different species are being generated as a course of the reaction. So, that is why this sort of acts as a chain reaction, and that is why these mass isotopic experiments were performed in order to know the statistical distribution of these various products, which sort of finally helped explain these Chauvin's non-pairwise mechanism in explaining the metathesis reaction. So, we have seen how complex this metathesis reaction is, and one can see that by just looking at different active species that are being produced by this initiating metal carbene species, and how that helped in propagating the reaction in a chain fashion, all giving and stitching different forms of olefin. Now, we will sort of explain this olefin metathesis in bit more detail, and this olefin metathesis not only can be expected for alkenes, but can also be observed for alkynes. So, alkene metathesis as well as alkyne metathesis. We have to see that this reaction is not only limited to alkenes, but also are known for alkynes. A very nice example of this is what we had just discussed earlier, is that of propane in presence of catalyst giving ethylene plus butene. This another interesting thing is that the versatility of the metathesis reaction, very versatile and very versatile and can be catalyzed by homogeneous and heterogeneous catalyst. Catalyzed under both homogeneous and heterogeneous conditions. And the first observation of conversion of linear olefins into longer and shorter chain moieties at molybdenum catalyst. This was the first observation of conversion of linear olefins into longer and shorter chain moieties at a molybdenum catalyst, and this was sort of seen with the first observation of conversion of linear olefins into longer and shorter chain moieties on molybdenum catalyst. So, and this is very much illustrated by the above example, where propylene got converted to a shorter ethylene and longer butene. So, this was first sort of observed by conversion of olefin to the longer and the shorter moieties. Now, olefin metathesis was an intriguing phenomenon and field to begin with, and then once the mechanism was sort of understood, the next biggest challenge was in trying to earmark the boundary of the reaction or the capability of the reaction, and what came into being that there are a wide range of different types of reaction, all of which belong to the family of olefin metathesis. So, in that context a large number of olefin metathesis reaction came into being, and all of them though slightly different in type, but they all fell in this subclass of olefin metathesis reaction. And we are going to sort of take a look at some of the classifications or different types of olefin metathesis reactions that are being. Now, as mentioned earlier, that as we had said that the olefin metathesis is very versatile and is not only restricted to olefin, but also is equally observed for alkyne, which also undergo similar kind of metathesis reaction. Now, one thing to note here is the fact that alkyne metathesis is less explored than alkene metathesis. Alkyne is alkyne metathesis is less explored when compared to alkene metathesis. Now, with these we come to the conclusion of today's lecture, where we have looked into the different mechanistic aspects of this non pairwise mechanism proposed by Chauvin, where one can see that this non pairwise mechanism was established through isotope labeling experiments in terms of the ratios of different isotopically labeled olefins were produced in a particular experiment. What it was what came to the fore by during this course of experiment is that the active species or the initiating species is a metal carbene species, which is different from that of the two olefins involved, and this metal carbene species during the course of metathesis reaction transforms or changes to many other types of metal carbene species. So, a singular active species gives rise to several types of many more metal carbene species, all of which are equally active in olefin metathesis reaction. As a result, a chain reaction set in place leading to formation of different combinations of olefins which can possibly be formed. Another interesting point that we had observed is that the transition state for this metathesis reaction is a metallocyclobutane kind of intermediate which leads to the formation of a olefin as well as an active species, which is the metal carbene species. So, and these isotope experiments were reported by Grubbs, which favored Chauvin's proposal of non pairwise mechanism towards the formation of olefin metathesis products. So, with this we come to the end of our discussion of various kinds of mechanisms which have been proposed in explaining the metathesis reaction, and we are going to be look at taking up different varieties of metathesis reactions or different types of metathesis reactions that have been reported so far, and also the subsequent applications of metathesis reactions in the coming lecture. So, once again I thank you for being with me in this lecture, and we are going to be looking at different types of metathesis reactions in more detail when we take up the when we cover the topic in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye and thank you.